welcome back. I'm Dave. I thought we'd jump in uh, together here today. I started making a little backing track, and I thought, no, let's just use the looper, and we'll figure this one out as we go. We want to look at harmonizing using intervals of thirds, some scales and lines and things that we can use to play over a flat 7 chord. In this case, we're just going to use one chord. I'm going to make a little loop of a C7 here in just a second. But of course, in a blues, you could kind of move around and treat each one as its own flat 7 chord and stuff like that. But you can get a whole lot of good work done just playing over one chord, and the looper is perfect for that. So let me lay that down real quick. Got to check it. I don't know if I jumped it. Yeah, we can live with that. Okay. Hard to get that just right sometimes, isn't it? So, like this last series we did, the last few weeks, that last one was number 100, by the way, for Patreon for Dow Twang. So this will be number 101. Major and minor pentatonic. Let's just see. Even simpler. Okay. Seems like it's working okay. Minor pentatonic. Back to the major, okay? So this is all working out, and hopefully, this is kind of what you're getting into with these styles now. It's just like that using both of those sounds, both of those buckets of notes. Some of them overlap. One more that's I think we'll have good luck with over this is the Mixolydian scales, like a major scale with a flat 7. So we're playing it. We have a C root, C7. Okay, that Mixolydian right away gives you sort of a way to blend the two things, right? That they're both in there. The elements of that major and minor pentatonic are both in there, all right? So now on to that's just a good warm-up. Get your ear acclimated. And notice how, I played sometimes it was just kind of rote demonstration of the scale, but then, I tried to play lines that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Go ahead and phrase it out a little bit. Even if it's just really simple. Right? And, when you start to feel it kind of like, I'm not sure so I'm just kind of keep rambling on, sign off on it. Right? That's just a kind of a little side thing, but it's a general thing that we always need to be working on, right? Like, make it into a line. And that's going to help us. The reason that's really important today is because we want to harmonize some lines that our ear and our system of playing is already utilizing and used to, right? So let's say I went, okay. So you could just back that. I watched a Guthrie Trap video, just very recently on this. He's got tons of great videos on all kinds of topics. But he uses this stuff a lot, and he uses it a lot more elaborately than I do. And his chops are obviously like, you know, and he's breathing rare air. I mean, he's an exceptional musician and guitarist. It's so much fun just to watch the videos. And if you pick up a little something, it's even better. But just a single note line and then harmonize it, right? And you can do that just with the scale. Like, well, we're just going to take this or that scale and harmonize the whole thing and practice it like that. That's fine too. But, let's say you're more used to, like, let's say your style is that you just put on a backing track and you play some blues licks or something. Well, you can harmonize some of those, right? So let's take this. Okay. A lot of times we would bend that. So how do we, now we're going for thirds. You can, make double stops and harmonize licks and two note harmonies and things with a bunch of different intervals. Today we're talking about thirds. So we're going to base this on the Mixolydian scale, okay, out of the three scales that we've talked about. So whether we're in major or minor pentatonic in terms of like the framework that we're using wherever we are on the neck, when it comes time to harmonize that, look for the Mixolydian 7-note scale. So if I'm here, right, you can just kind of get your ear in there and get your hand used to that. So now, using those scale tones, I just count up 3 from each note that I want to harmonize. So the first note's C. Right? It's at 1, 2, 3. We end up on the third, right? It's the third because we're counted 3 notes up from where we started, okay? See, it's right away you can hear like melodies that sound familiar, like almost like nursery rhymes or something, like old song. Like, God, that just sounds like all this stuff, right? Because it's so germane to our system of music, of classical, Western music. So that's there's a little routine right there. Count it up, then play them together, then separate them, and all different, variations of that. That's a good little routine. A lot of times you would play those notes from here, but you can't harmonize. You can't play more than one note on the same string, right? Unless you got some real serious tricks of some kind. So you gotta move some stuff around. Like if I want that one and this one, out of that scale, I gotta move that one. And so see some of your scale patterns, finger patterns that you're used to lend itself to this. It all starts to fit together, right? So there's a little routine for, place to add some double stops from that major setup right there. I went to go up 2 right there. You could embellish it. If you do it quick enough, it's an embellishment. It sounds cool. You can bend the whole thing. It's not coming out that great. It's still adjusting to this new guitar, and I'm not used to doing that much, to be honest with you. But well, it's a nice sound bending those. Thank Guthrie Trapp for that too. That little bit was in one of the videos I saw of his recently, just bending that up. That time I tried to do an unnatural finger. Gotta work that. I'm gonna leave that in there. So I'm not scared to show you, like, yes, the first one sounded like crap, whatever. Practice it, work it out. And every guitar kind of responds a little bit differently on how far you need to bend it and the vibrato that you're using and stuff like that. Okay, so let's say that's our kind of major framework down here. I've got to mute something here real quick when I slid that over. There we go. So now, let's say we move up here and we're going to use more of a minor framework. That one kind of naturally harmonizes itself when you, right? You're playing if we talk, arpeggio tones or chord tones, it's the 5th of that C7 and the flat 7. But again, we can't play those together on the same string at the same time. We could play them in back and forth. So we move that one to here, right? This is stuff that you're already doing more than likely, but if you may not think about these aspects of it, right? It makes sense to you, right? However it makes sense to you. So let's say we wanted to just go right down the scale kind of thing here. So we could do the same process. Okay, now I almost tried to make a little major chord right there, but you could. Right, or I could leave it minor, but if you're gonna leave it a minor third, you gotta put a little something on it right there, So if we go to more of like a full Mixolydian sound, which has a major third in it, then we could hammer that or slide it and then move it on up in harmonized thirds. And you could do the same process with this. I'm sorry. That's a major. I want a flat 7. So I want to go. So when I did my counting up, I just let my myself kind of drift over into major. I'm going to leave this in here because it's a good example of when you're doing this. See, it's funny how you find the good stuff. That's the when you do that counting up three in the Mixolydian scale here, you really hear the essential sound. Okay, so let's put the loop on and just do a little consolidated kind of wrap up of what we just worked on. And then, we'll come back and we'll do some more of it because you can do this on different strings all over the neck and stuff. But, find something that you can really start making some music with and rehearse it in that way. And you'll see that a lot of the other octaves and stuff will kind of start to reach out to you instead of you having to kind of like go and nail them all down all at once, which is tedious and tiresome and frustrating sometimes, right? And sometimes you don't remember all the visual patterns and stuff. So check it out. Okay, let's leave it at that. Those couple of routines, see how much you can make out of those areas. And don't get too hung up on the major and minor stuff or whatever, because you're still using the Mixolydian notes. You can just kind of do that in both positions, right? But sometimes you do want that minor third when you're in that blues position, right? Just let all of that happen, and you'll know it when it starts to groove and sound right. Then we'll do another one, kind of building on this, and next week. Middle of the week, going to see Derek Trucks, Tedeschi Trucks, in Tulsa. So that should be fun. And Ben hope it won't put me behind too much, whatever. But that's a 2-day deal right there. So I'll let you know how that goes. It'll be some inspiring, I'm sure. Let me know how this goes for you. Okay, appreciate you. Talk to you next time.